So this is kind of crazy to admit, but Gears of War Reloaded is my very first Gears experience. And I know, it's a legendary Xbox franchise. People have been chainsawing locusts for almost 20 years now, and here I am, just now stepping into the boots of Marcus Phoenix. To give you some context, back when the original Gears came out in 2006, I was already obsessed with another third-person shooter. That one is Kill Switch. That was one of my childhood games, and honestly, it blew my mind with its cover mechanics. I didn't realize at the time that Kill Switch basically laid the groundwork for Gears. So when people called Gears a revolution in cover-based combat, I understood the hype, but I never had the console to play it myself. Fast forward to now, Gears of War Reloaded lands, polished up for modern consoles, and I finally get to dive in. So today, I want to give you my honest first impressions, not as a long-time fan, but as someone experiencing this series for the first time in 2025. Let's talk about the cover mechanics, the graphics, the AI, and why this game feels both revolutionary and really dated at the same time. Alright, so let's talk about the big thing first, the cover system. Sliding into cover in Reloaded instantly brought me back to Kill Switch. I remembered those afternoons as a kid, crouching behind crates and popping out for clunky shots. But here, Gears takes it to another level. You're not just stalking, you're sticking to walls, vaulting over debris, blind firing, rolling between cover points, and in a way it feels smoother, more tactical, and way more central to the entire gameplay loop. It's clear to me now why people said Gears changed the third-person shooters forever. In most shooters before, cover was optional. In Gears, cover is the game. If you're not behind the wall, you're dead. And I love that philosophy. It makes every firefight feels like a puzzle. How do I get from this slab of concrete to that burned out car without getting shredded? But here's the thing, while the system itself is great, it also feels a little clunky compared to modern games. Snap into cover is satisfying, sure, but animations are stiff, transitions can feel slow, and sometimes you get stuck when you're trying to slide out. It reminded me that, yeah, this was designed in 2006. For its time, revolutionary, but now, impressive, but definitely showing its age. One thing that blew me away, though, was how good the game looks in Reloaded. Seriously, the lighting, the texture, the blood effects, it all looks like modern releases. HDR makes the destroyed cityscapes pop, the locusts look more menacing than ever, and the chainsaw executions are nastier in the best way. But the moment-to-moment gameplay, that's where the cracks show. Animations are stiff, Marcus moves like a tank, and not in the fun Doomslayer kind of way, but in a this guy has 200 pounds of bricks in his boots way. Reloading is chunky, movement feels heavy, and the AI, let's just say it hasn't aged as well as the textures. I noticed my allies rushing headfirst into enemy fire more times than I can count, so Dom, I love you, but please stop dying in the middle of the battlefield. Enemies, on the other hand, usually just sit in cover like mannequins, sometimes rushing at me, sometimes waiting for me to pick them off. I mean, it works, but compared to modern shooters with smarter AI, like The Last of Us Part 2 where enemies actively flank you and coordinate, it's night and day. So the graphics definitely sell the remaster, but the gameplay, at least for me, coming into it fresh, screams 2006 in all caps, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Here's where I started to really appreciate Gears though, the map design. Every arena feels like it was built to force you into using cover creatively. Narrow corridors, scattered rubble, half-collapsed buildings, the entire environment is basically a chessboard for gunfights. And once I realized that, it clicked. The AI might not be aggressive, but the level design pushes you to flank, to reposition and keep moving cover to cover. It reminded me of those kill switch levels I loved as a kid, except here it's bigger, louder and way more dramatic. Some of the arenas had me grinning because you could see exactly what the designers wanted you to do. Here's a low wall, here's a flank path, here's the sniper nest. It's basic by today's standards, but it's clear why this design was so influential. I honestly found myself enjoying the tactical side more than I expected. Even if the enemies just sat there waiting to die, figuring it out, how to maneuver around them without eating a boom shot to the face was satisfying. Now let's talk weapons, because this arsenal is something else. The Lancer is iconic for a reason, but firing it feels powerful, but revving that chainsaw bayonet and tearing through a locust, that's gaming history right there. I get why this weapon is tattooed into gaming culture. It's brutal, it's loud, and it's over the top. But it never gets old. The Nasher shotgun though, I've heard people talk about it being legendary in multiplayer, and even in campaign I see why. That close range blast just destroys enemies, and I had a few moments where I blind fired at the point blank range and it was pure chaos. The torque bow is probably my personal favorite so far. Charging an arrow, watching it stick to a locust and waiting for that delayed explosion, absolutely satisfying. But here's the thing, the variety feels limited compared to modern shooters. Today we're used to having massive arsenals, dozens of guns, attachments and loadouts. Gears keeps it tight, maybe 8 or 9 iconic weapons. And you know what? That actually works in its favor. Each weapon feels unique, each one has a clear purpose, and it makes every pickup meaningful. It's simple, but in a good way. And yes, the boom shot is still terrifying every time you hear it fired. So about the story. Honestly, it's simpler than I expected. Marcus Phoenix, a soldier fresh out of prison, joins Delta Squad to fight the Locust Horde. That's pretty much it. There's not a ton of exposition, no massive codex dumps, no branching choices. Just humanity on the brink, desperate soldiers, and endless waves of enemies. But here's the thing, the atmosphere sells it. The destroyed world of Serra looks haunting in Reloaded. The ruined cities, the underground tunnels, the sense of desperation, it all works. And the characters, even if they're over the top, are memorable. As someone playing for the first time, I didn't need a complex narrative. I just needed a tone, and Gears nailed that. It feels heavy, hopeless, and grim. It's not polished sci-fi, it's gritty war, and that still works in 2025. The multiplayer is slower than most modern shooters, but it's intense. Cover battles matter, positioning matters, and close-range shotgun duels are absolutely brutal. The Nasher meta is alive and well, and with that said, the lack of modern progression systems is obvious. No battle passes, no flashy cosmetics, no endless unlocks, just raw gameplay. For some players, that's a blessing. For others, it might feel bare bones. Personally, as a first-timer, I kind of liked it. It felt pure, like going back to basics. But I also understand why newer players might bounce off quickly. It's not built for the long haul by today's standards. It's a snapshot of competitive gaming from 2006, with prettier visuals. So if I had to sum it up, here's what really worked for me. The cover mechanics are still fun and tactical, the weapons feel unique and powerful, the atmosphere and tone is immersive. Co-op elevates the campaign massively. But here's what didn't. The AI is bad, both allies and enemies. The animations are stiff and clunky, the pacing can feel slow compared to modern games, and the story is simple. It's fine for me, but maybe underwhelming if you're expecting depth. Basically, it's a game of contrasts, revolutionary mechanics, but dated execution. So as someone who just played Gears of War for the very first time, what's my verdict? I get why this game is legendary. The cover system is brilliant, the weapons are iconic, and the atmosphere is unforgettable. Reloaded makes it look amazing, and when you're chainsawing through locusts, it feels like gaming at its most visceral. But I also see how much it shows its age. The AI, the animations, the pacing, it's all stuck in 2006. It's a remaster, not a remake, and that means you get the authentic experience, flaws and all. Would I recommend it? Well, if you're curious about gaming history, absolutely. If you're a long-time fan, this is the best way to revisit a classic. If you're new like me, just know what you're walking into. It's not going to feel like Gears 5. It's going to feel like the foundation everything else was built on. And for me, that was worth it. So yeah, that was my first journey into the world of Gears of War through Reloaded. I finally understand what the hype was all about, even if the game shows its age. Now I want to hear from you. Are you a veteran Gears player who remembers 2006 like it was yesterday? Or are you like me, experiencing this franchise for the first time? Drop your stories in the comments because I'd love to know if the cover system hooked you back in the same way it hooked me now. And if you enjoyed this The First Time Journey, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more impressions, reviews and gaming adventures here on Dash Players. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.